how do people know you follow Jesus? Well, how did Jesus say everyone would know you are a disciple? Jesus said, love each other. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from John 13, 34 through 35, and we'll be reading from the NET translation. And you can find a different command of Jesus every weekday at our Bible plan at bible.today.church. Verse 34 of John 13, Jesus said, I give you a new commandment, to love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. Everyone will know by this that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Jesus said he was giving a new command. And this command to love one another is in the New Testament at least 16 times. And it seems so simple. But Jesus said that this is how everyone will know that we have love one for another. Everyone will know that we're his disciples. But it's more than that, because he said that we should love one another as he loved us. Now, how did Jesus love those first disciples? How did he love Judas, who was a thief, and he was going to betray him? Well, Jesus washed his feet and served him. How did Jesus love Simon Peter, who denied him and ran away from him? He told Simon Peter, feed my sheep. How did Jesus love Thomas, who doubted him when everyone else believed? That's the example of love that Jesus said we must show one another. And he said very specifically that by that kind of love, everyone would know that we are his disciples. Now, you would think, with our society today, that Jesus commanded us to compare one another, or that we would be known by our condemnation of each other, or by expecting others to live up to our expectations or our standards of how they should treat us. And I think one way that we can figure out if we're on the right path or not is to ask the question, who is the main subject of most of my conversations? Who's the main subject of those that we hang around with? Is it I? How they treated me? You know, Jesus asked, how can I help you? Not, what can you do for me? And it's not that Jesus told us that we would be known by dividing into groups of different beliefs and saying everyone else is wrong, that we would be known by calling our enemies names and pointing out how stupid everyone and everything else is. No, he said that we would be known by our unselfish, sacrificial love for one another. So why do we even wonder why the world thinks that we don't have anything to offer? And think about this. If we aren't known for our love for each other, how can those outside of our circle think that we could possibly love them? Now, where we are right now, Jesus predicted in Matthew 24, 10 through 14, he said, speaking of the end times, then many will be led into sin and they will betray one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many. And because lawlessness will increase so much, the love of many will grow cold. Now, before we go to verse 13, what's happening in the world today, even among Christians, shouldn't be a surprise. People are betraying one another, hating one another. And the love of many is growing cold. I mean, it's like a spiritual ice age right now. So what do we do? Well, Jesus tells us, verse 13, but the person who endures to the end will be saved, and this gospel or good news of the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole inhabited earth as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. And part of that testimony to everyone is that we love one another. We can't claim to have the good news about the kingdom if we don't even show the most basic example. Jesus gave us what should be the proof that we are his disciples by our love one for another. And if the good news that we're trying to share isn't being shared with the loving good actions of those trying to spread it, well, that news isn't good at all. Jesus said, love each other. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.